If you were in Congregation Beth Israel this past Saturday, you might have heard something like this when hearing the Maftir Aliyah for Breshit, chapter 6, verses 5 through 8. Amen. Vayar Adonai ki rabba ra'at hadam ba'aretz v'chol yetzer machshavot libo rak ra kol hayom. And God saw all the huge amounts of bad things that the people of the earth that they were doing, that every one of their thoughts was in the direction, was inclined. All the thoughts of one's heart, of one's head, they were only evil all of the time. And so we read our Torah portion inspired by the memory of Rabbi David Wolfblank Zal, who taught us how we can read the Torah, reading both the black fire and the white fire. And we look at this phrase, Vayar Adonai, and God saw, and we see that 7 times earlier in this first parsha of the Bible, that God saw was 7 times, but each time it's Vayar Elohim, it's a different name for God, and each time it is God saw it was very good, talking about the creation. This is time when we have this Vayar Adonai, God saw it was bad. What is the difference? Here we have the Yud Hey Vav Hey name for God. Earlier we had the name of Elohim. Perhaps it has something to do with the fact that Elohim has a plural noun ending, that one might be seen with a multiplicity of views, a multiplicity of perspectives, that by having more is sometimes able to see the good, where the narrowness of oneness that you cannot see, you only see the bad. We also have some very important teachings in this first verse. We have, how could things have gone so bad so quickly, that just 113 verses earlier, at the end of the chapter 1, verse 31, God saw it was very good in the creation. And here we have 113 verses later that everything has gone to heck in a handbasket. How could this have happened? We learn that this 113 is an important number. It is, of course, Psalm 113 that is the first Psalm of Hallel. It is the prayers, it is the blessings for gratitude, that without this gratitude, it is a reminder for without having a daily gratitude, a momentary gratitude, we can easily fall back. We can fall back into these other situations. We also don't know exactly what this means, this Vayar Adonai. There is more meditative research to be called for to discover this. Vayinachem Adonai ki asad adam ba'aretz v'yidatzev el libo. And God regretted that God made humanity, of the earth, and was sad in his heart. And what do we make of this first word of this verse, Vayinachem? And God regretted. How can God have regrets? Rashi teaches us that every expression that this time appears in our Torah, it appears in Numbers, it appears in Deuteronomy, it appears in Exodus, it also most significantly appears in Shmuel, that each of these times it is about changing one's mind, of reversing course, of reconsidering, of having second thoughts. Here is another circumstance in which one has second thoughts. We also try to figure out, does God make mistakes? What is this V'yinachem? How could God regret? Perhaps we can look at it by seeing that it's God regretting just having to do what is necessary. Perhaps the parental version of this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you when God is going to destroy the earth. I'm sorry, that was a bit of a spoiler alert for the next parsha for those who haven't read ahead yet. We also have a seemingly extra word in this sentence, and also in the sentence before, where we see this word ba'aretz. We made ha'adam ba'aretz, the person of the earth. Why do we say this person of the earth? We have Rabbi Baruch Pinchas Rabinowitz of Skolia, the Skolia scholar, explaining that this extra word is necessary because it's explaining that humanity's wickedness came from the earth, that because humans, Adam, were created from earth, Adamah, they took on the characteristics of the earth, which were evil characteristics. Of course, we can see this commentary from the Skolia Rebbe, and we can see it's complete nonsense. So the Skolia scholar is unintentionally teaching us a very important lesson, reminding us that even true scholars make errors, and that occasionally badly misses the mark, and we need to read all of their interpretations with analysis and questioning authority, even for those who are great scholars. However, this seemingly extra word We know that the Torah is all there for a reason. Some might explain some of these things by explaining it as just the documentary hypothesis of Torah. Those of us of a strong faith, however, find that insufficient. We know that there must be some specific reason, some explanation. And we learn from Radak, who says that the reason this word is there to remind us that the root of the problem of human corruption, that even though we are implanted with a divine soul inside of us, that humans, we are physical beings and we have physical needs. And if these physical needs go unchecked and uncontrolled and run rampant and out of control, that we as humans can become corrupt, and by meeting those physical needs in unhealthy ways, and we need to find healthy ways in which to meet those needs. Radak hit that nail on the head in that analysis. Vayomer Adonai emche et hadam asher barati me'al pnei hadama me'adam ad behema ad remes v'ad of hashamayim ki nichamti ki asitem. God said, I will blot out, I will destroy all humanity, these people of from the person who I have created from the face of the earth, from the person and to the behemah, to the cattle and to the beasts, to the creepy crawly critters, to the birds in the sky, in the heavens, and because I regret that I have made them. So why do we have these from human to cattle to creepy crawly critters to birds? Why are all of these being destroyed? And Rashi, citing earlier sources, provides two possible explanations. One, he says that these animals were also corrupted, that they were corrupted in the same way that humans were. Of course, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He also provides another explanation for saying that everything was created for the sake of humans, and since humans will be annihilated, what we even need all those other kinds of animals and plants and insects and creatures for? Of course, another nonsense explanation from Rashi, why we need to read our scholars with a critical eye. So we know these are not true, and sadly, these misinterpretations promulgated by Rashi and others, these misinterpretations of our holy word of God, this led some in our community to minimize or deny the impact of human behavior on our planet. And in some ways, these misinterpretations of our sages in the past, they may have contributed to our present state, in which there seems to be very minimal Jewish representation in things like the upcoming conference in Marrakesh, Morocco, where there seems to be only one representative of Jewish organizations in attendance. She is an attendee from Austin, Texas, addressing these very important issues of our earth. V'noach matza chen b'nei Adonai. And Noah, he was found to have, in the eyes of God, to have grace. And boy, does that God know how to write a cliffhanger. This is the last verse of this parsha. We know that that Noah found grace in the eyes of God, and we know we want to come back and read the next chapters. There's something coming ahead. Unfortunately, I already provided a spoiler alert, so you have an idea of what's coming. We wonder about this word of finding, this explanation of finding grace in Noah, and the Akedah Yitzchak, referring to Bereishit Rabbah, Rabbi Shimon said that God made three finds. There are three finds that God made in the Torah. One was that God was finding Abraham. The second one is David. The third one is finding Yisrael, is finding Israel. So Rabbi Shimon was questioned by his colleagues who said, doesn't the Torah also say here in this very verse, this last verse of Parshat Bereishit, that Noah found favor in the eyes of God, that God found favor, that God found this grace, that God found grace in Noah? No, answered Rabbi Shimon, and a very important point. Rabbi Shimon answers, of course, that it was not God finding grace in Noah, but it was Noah finding grace, that the grace was there for God. God provided that grace. It was there for the taking. It's available for Noah. It's available for all of us. This very important concept of chain, of grace, that is provided for by God, that is available to anyone of us at any moment. That as Jews, we've allowed this concept to be co-opted by others, but instead we have this very important sacred line at the end of the parsha teaching that all of us can find grace in the eyes of God.